I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing, and this is Target Tuesday. Well, we've officially got a blog over on Target Marketing, though I haven't actually gotten to log in. Well, we'll figure it out. They gave me a login yesterday, and it didn't quite exactly work. Probably my fault. We'll straighten it out. I'm John Miglosh. Okay, we'll stop that. So let's dig in, because as always, a lot to cover. What we're going to talk about today, well, we'll see. We never quite know. We're going to talk about digital data challenges, okay, and the slide reformatted suddenly, which is kind of par for the course. There we go. Everybody thinks digital is the future of marketing, that there's no sense in any kind of testing besides digital because it's all about digital. But we shall see, shall we not? Okay, so let's go on. First of all, digital is really complicated. There's so many options. This is from like 3 years ago. And this is just some of your choices of where you can advertise in the digital world. Okay. And I think people lose sight of that this has probably doubled in the last. I don't think TikTok is even on there. There's some big channels that haven't even that aren't even listed, and now they're huge, right? So it gets complicated, and you were able to drop cookies and follow people around. Now you have to go to a co-op to track them. And but you're moving all around in this sphere. Your customers are moving all around in this sphere. You're putting ads all around in here. It's really hard to tell what's going on. The Content Marketing Institute said that 30% measure sales impact, but 57% are sure that their content marketing has increased their sales. Now, content marketing is just a subset of digital. I understand that. But I just think it's funny that the qualitative is taking precedence over the quantitative, probably because it's so complicated. I had a client back a few years ago that was kind of trying to kill their direct-to-consumer catalog. And they hired a team of about 6 digital marketers, and 3 of them, I think they were paying over $100,000 a piece. And never mind, they wouldn't rent lists. Not that it would have worked. I'm just saying they didn't rent very many lists. They didn't do much. They didn't do much aggressively with the catalog, but they were going to do it all with digital now. And so what happened was, the owner said, go down to the basement and see if these guys know what they're doing. This is after a year. He didn't ask me to go down before that. And they'd spent something like $1 million getting a bunch of new customers, lots of new customers, hundreds of thousands of new customers. And, they ran things like invitations to the store. They had a Groupon and got like 1,000 redemptions, which, wouldn't have fit in the store for a class. Thankfully, only like 10 showed up, which on its own kind of gave you the feel for the digital world. But generally what they did was they said, well, we sell, and in this case it was artist supplies, art supplies, but it was fancy art paint. And the affiliate network, there were artists with video blogs showing off their work and other things, and significant numbers of followers. So they used an affiliate network to manage the banner ads, and they got these artists to agree to put their company's banner ad up on their individual websites. And the way it kind of worked out, and I don't remember these numbers exactly, the affiliate network got maybe 10%, could have been 5%. The affiliates got about 20%. They suggested or they made an offer in the banner ads of 20% discount, which means they're down roughly 40 to 50% right off the bat before shipping, handling, or cost of goods. And so I went down there, and they were telling this to me, and I said, well, you know that that you're not making any money. They said, oh yes, we are. Our sales are above the cost of the affiliate network. Never mind. I said, you know, the stuff we put in the little tubes, that costs us money to put them in the little tubes. When we ship it, it costs us money. Well, they hadn't thought about that. They just thought they had to achieve sales that were equal or above the cost of their promotion. Never mind their own salaries, which were, close to $500,000, just the 6 of them sitting there. And nevertheless, needless to say, they were losing money hand over fist in this deal in customer acquisition. But when I got back, I started thinking, well, we have all the data. Let's do a little analysis of people that came on board, let's say 3 years ago, versus people who came on board in the last year, since this was their main new customer acquisition vehicle. And it turned out that in the next downstream 6 months, the digitally generated customers were worth 25%. 25%, 1/4 as much as the typical customer they'd been acquiring 2 years earlier. So not only did they lose money in this process, but there was no way to recoup it because there was no lifetime value to speak of at all. Mailing all those names got you nothing. Just nothing. It lost you money to even send them a book after they bought. Okay, so let's go on. Okay, I had another friend, bar stools to go. He had a whole bunch of bar stools, tables to go, chairs to go, office chairs to go. And he launched with Google because Google was giving a little bump for if the name of the product people were searching for was in the name of the site, which makes some sense. But he kind of gamed the system. And and then Google started changing their algorithm. Started figuring out that just because Barstools was in that URL, that one was paired with, office chairs to go, and it was the same company. They figured that out, and so they then discounted it, and the AdWords kept going up in cost. And he told me, this is anecdotal, of course, but he said, I started putting my name on a syndicator's catalog that sold office furniture, and I got a call from a government agency, and they said, are you a registered vendor? And he said yes. He said, good, because I was going to spend $5,000 a month with you because I like catalogs, but since you're registered, I'm authorized to spend $10,000 a month. He said, so I got $100,000 a year from that one catalog. And I called him back just more recently, and I said, are you still mailing catalogs? He said, oh yeah, more than ever. Interesting, eh? So the digital is dangerous. I had another friend who was doing long tail on Google. He thinks he was the largest long tail search company on Google. What he would do is he would have buy a search term like Harley Davidson, Road King, I don't know what. I can't think of any more terms, but he'd stick another term on there, black or something like that. And then people would search that, and they'd come to him, and then he'd send those to Harley and mark them up. And he had quite a robust business. He got on his own site and checked the results, and they were 0. And Google had basically cut off his link. They wouldn't let him buy any more ads because they wanted those long tail searches. They didn't want him reselling their own search results. Done. One day. Turns on the computer, he's gone. Okay. Facebook announced a year ago they were going back to their roots. They were going to have fewer ads on the news feed, which of course meant their prices went up, and they're very profitable. So I don't criticize them at all. But oops, I caught this in pre-production, but then I went to a different. There we go. Okay. Ad spending loss to fraud worldwide. Projected 2023, $100 billion. 2019, $42 billion. And this is from Juniper Research, The Future of Digital Advertising, Artificial Intelligence. People who tell you it's solved. The ANA came out with a report and said, oh, it was bad in 2017. It was $16 billion in 2017. But now it's all fixed. You know what? The bots are smarter. They have better AI than the fraud detection. That's just the way it is. It's always the way it is. So don't expect the digital ad buy to change anytime soon. Digital ad buy, $42 billion in 2019. P&G's Febreze, the most fooled. This is big name stuff. These are big name, competent, capable people. Okay? Right? This is not a bunch of little guys. It says P&G's Febreze, most fooled, reached bots instead of people. Instagram posts indicated that the accounts that engaged, 54% were fake. I have an Instagram account. I got a note one day from Instagram that said, there may be fraudulent activity on your account. I go back on and I had followed 8,000 people. I hadn't followed 8,000 people. There was no way, so Instagram could tell it was fraudulent, but they wouldn't block them from taking over my account and using it to like, thousands of people that may or may not exist. But even if they exist, I didn't follow 8,000 people. It took me months to get that back together. Well, it's still not. I think I still have 3,000 that I follow. Sometimes I watch TV, just unfollow everybody. And the worst of it was like workout models, male and female and stuff, and it was barely legal if you ask me. So it wasn't the kind of people I would follow in any universe. Not that that matters. But you see how easy it is to bake in the fake? Okay. And this, I thought I hid that slide. I'm sure I did, but it didn't hide on me. From the CMO survey in 3 years ago, and this has been updated, 350 top U.S. marketers at for-profit companies, Walgreens, Walmart, P&G, 45% say they're unable to show the impact of social media. 40% say they have a qualitative but not quantitative sense for the impact of social media. It's big news. This is an interesting point. Let's hit play. Why isn't it playing? No. No. I did this flawlessly a minute ago. Okay. Now the trouble is that it's not possible to view. They made the buttons light gray on white. It's one of my very favorite personal problems with website designers who play things. This is a great clip too. Let's make it full screen. It's going to wreck the video, but we'll play it.
Digital ads have overtaken all other forms of advertising, promising to measure views and effectiveness more accurately. But is that really the case?
I may be alone here, but I would say digital advertising is not very effective. I would say it has the opportunity to be super effective, but today I would say that oftentimes it's not even as effective as buying television or print or outdoor. So for example, when we buy television, every time you pay for an ad, it actually appears in the program, believe it or not. Whereas digital, if you buy an ad, it may never have a chance to be on the screen. So check for television. Measuring audience, some sort of panel is used and the households are vetted. And there aren't fake households, they're real households. Whereas digital, you've got this problem with bots and you might be targeting bots instead of real people. So the reality is with digital, we now are buying ads that have no chance of working because they're not in view, because they're fraudulent, because they're on content that's harmful for a brand. And in that case, what we're actually saying is there's now a negative part to that X graph that never existed before. And so that whole curve shifted over. So now, instead of half your ads having a chance to work, it's a fraction of your ads have a chance to work.
Did you hear that? Never mind. Even if it's in front of a person, think in your mind the last digital ad you saw. Try to remember. Try to remember any digital ad you saw. Now, that doesn't mean it isn't effective, but just try to remember that. You know? I mean, I remember yesterday's mail today. Believe it or not, it wasn't much. I got a phone. I got a bill, right, from Spectrum or somebody. Anyway, but you can't. I mean, I can't. Of course, I can't remember. I remember what I had for breakfast. Okay, the number two after drugs income stream for organized crime is bots. Do you know that? So they have a big incentive. That's where they're making their money. High tech. And I really wanted to end with this, but it's almost a show in itself. So I'll use it for next time. We'll just focus on the shed at Dulwich, because Vice has a great article about how this guy went from nothing to the top rated restaurant in London in 6 months. Fantastic. What he should have done is sell the restaurant, sell the name, sell the site to a real restaurant. He would have made millions. But he's a good guy, and he's very creative, and I like his stuff. I like his thinking. It's very excellent. So next Target Tuesday, we'll talk about the shed at Dulwich, because it's worth it.